Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasooli.
And I'm Gayatri Gurratha. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Mohanlal Guero appointed as monitoring MP for the Ministry of Education. Debate in Parliament on the rights of MP Buddhik Pathrina being violated. Opposition calls on government to implement recommendations in the COPE report. And also, trade unions stage a demonstration in support of the government.
Now for those stories in detail, Parliamentarian Mohanlal Guero has been appointed as monitoring MP for the Ministry of Education. According to the Director General of the President's Media Unit, President Mahinda Rajapaksa had handed over the letter of appointment to Mohanlal Guero today.
United National Party parliamentarian Mohanlal Guero crossed over to the government on Wednesday during voting on the second reading of the 2012 budget. Speaking in Parliament, Mohanlal Guero stated that he crossed over in order to support the educational policies of the government. However, various views have been expressed by members of the ruling party on the post of monitoring MP. All parliamentarians have been directed to work on separate areas. Honourable Speaker, what I am asking is what are these individuals being utilised for as monitoring MPs? I responsibly state that such appointments have not been made. Speaking in Parliament recently, MP Dayasiri Jayasekara once again questioned about monitoring MPs. At that time, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena clearly said that none of the ministries had monitoring MPs. What you are saying is true, but it is contradictory. This is because it is not an official appointment. They have been vested with a certain duty. That is completely true, but I reiterate that nobody has been officially appointed.
Mohanlal Guero is the first person to be appointed as monitoring MP for education in Sri Lanka, where a free education system is currently in place.
Following the parliamentary election in April 2010 and the cabinet reshuffle in November the same year, the Presidential Secretariat said a scientific process was followed in preparing the ministerial portfolios and appointing the ministers. Mohanlal Guero has been entrusted with the responsibility from today to monitor a ministry for which a minister has been appointed and a portfolio prepared in the aforementioned manner. The appointment of monitors is usually done based on two factors. When the responsibilities entrusted to an institution or a person increase, a monitor or monitors are appointed. The other factor that calls for the appointment of monitors is the failure of an institution or person to carry out their responsibilities. It has not been clearly spelled out as to which of these two factors triggered the decision to appoint a monitoring MP for education. However, the following example proves that the responsibilities entrusted to the Ministry of Education have not increased. Leaving aside the 335 national schools, when the media raises questions regarding problems at over 9,000 schools in the country, the responses of education authorities has been that the issue is not relevant to them. In April 2010, when the responsibility of education was entrusted to the relevant officials, they promised to introduce a new national education policy within 3 months. Not 3 months, but even 19 months later, no one in the ministry where appointments were apparently made on a scientific method seemed to be able to produce the long-awaited new policy. The actions of the Department of Examinations on the 19th of November also raises several issues. Notwithstanding this, certain statements made by the Commission of Examinations, who has been granted an extension of service, establishes the inability to carry out the responsibilities entrusted with regard to education. Another serious issue which arises is in relation to school textbooks and uniforms. Recently, reports were received regarding textbooks and examination papers with many printing errors. Throughout the past 19 months, the failure to resolve the issues of wage arrears of teachers and principals has further aggravated the situation. Education-related complaints occupy the second position among all complaints received by the Bribery and Corruption Commission. Was Mohanlal Guero appointed to the monitoring MP for education today to rectify these problems?
Meanwhile, a protest was held in the Ratmalana area this morning against the crossover of opposition UMP parliamentarian Mohanlal Guero to the government.
The protest was held with the participation of UNP Western Provincial Councillor Niroshan Padukka and the opposition leader of the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council, Sunetra Ranasinghe. The protesters accused Mohanlal Guero of crossing over to the government to fulfill his personal needs. A tense situation arose when a police official took photographs of the protesters. The riot police was also called to the scene. We expected another Lalit Athulat Mudali to be created through Mohanlal Grero from the Ratmalana electorate, which fell vacant after Lalit Athulat Mudali. But he crossed over to the government, putting the public of Ratmalana in difficulty for his own benefit.
The party named a mayoral candidate. He carried out a fake argument saying that he was opposed to it. That is how he laid the groundwork for this. The deputy mayor will agree. Through the municipal council, we worked equally for the Dehiwala and Ratmalana electorates. He made false allegations and gave excuses because this is what he wanted to do.
The protest concluded with those present dashing coconuts to invoke the wrath of the deities.
The United Bhikkhu Front states that Mohanlal Grero's departure from the UNP is disadvantageous to both the party and its Buddhist power base. Issuing a release, the United Bhikkhu Front pointed out that Grero worked with great commitment with the Buddhist committee of the party. The release goes on to say that Mohanlal Grero has crossed over to the government not due to any special facilities provided by them, but due to his frustration over the party leadership.
A protest was organized by the Joint Trade Union Alliance in Colombo today. The protest was organized against the national and international conspiracies directed at the government and the president.
The protest was organized by the United People's Freedom Alliance together with the trade unions and other societies connected to the party. Groups who arrived in protest marches from various locations gathered opposite the Fort Railway Station at around 2 p.m. The demonstration commenced a short while later. Those who are against us should think that thousands are ready to take to the streets tomorrow. We have come here to convey the message that we are ready to work against the national and international conspiracies risking our lives. The group who engaged in this protest till about 4 p.m. later dispersed.
The report of the Committee on Public Enterprises, or the COPE report, was submitted to Parliament yesterday by Committee Chairman, Senior Minister D.E.W. Gunasekara. We now take a look at the true nature of state institutions as revealed by the COPE report.
The Committee on Public Enterprises was appointed to check the performance of state institutions. Recommendations are made based on the conclusions drawn by the committee with regard to the relevant institutions. Senior Minister D.E.W. Gunasekara chaired this year's Committee on Public Enterprises. The three subcommittees were chaired by Minister Susil Premachanta, Karu Jayasuriya and Deputy Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna. The Committee on Public Enterprises consists of 31 members of Parliament, with 16 members appointed from the government and 15 from the opposition. The main committee and three subcommittees analysed the affairs of 229 state institutions. The COPE report presented in Parliament yesterday reveals that 48 state institutions made losses during the fiscal year 2010. Several common problems faced by the state institutions were identified through the 2011 COPE report, while several recommendations have also been presented to rectify these issues. The report states that most institutions have failed to give sufficient attention to corporate plans or action plans. Among these institutions are the Lanka Satsar and Sri Jayawardhanapura University, which is incidentally the largest university in the country based on the number of students. The report further states that due to the failure to prepare a procurement plan in advance, several institutions have faced issues such as the purchase of unnecessary items and the purchase of inferior quality goods. The report notes that recovery of debts and receivables had been a serious issue for many of the institutions. The 2011 COPE report also notes that in the field of higher education, Due to the breach of agreements by officials who have gone abroad on study leave and failed to report back to work, 4 higher education institutes alone are owed a sum of 242.3 million rupees. The committee also observes in the report that although instructions are issued by the Treasury, there is no proper supervision exercised by the Treasury to ensure that public enterprises follow these instructions and adhere to guidelines. The committee also observes that in the case of several institutions, the chairman and board of directors are not qualified academically and professionally, and many of them do not have enough experience in the particular field. The COPE report presented in Parliament yesterday also notes that most state institutions have failed to implement the recommendations made by the previous COPE report.
අපි මහන්සියෙන් ඒ සියලු වාර්තා ඉදිරිපත් කළා දැනුවත් කළ තිබෙන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට.
We are asking for one thing. The responsibility must be borne to punish those who must be punished. Otherwise, this will become a joke. I can state with responsibility that nothing in the COPE report was written based on whims and fancies. We have reported to Parliament based on the opinions of the Auditor General and the answers we received to the questions we asked. Therefore, the data presented must be accepted and appropriate action must be taken. There are 7 reports. Nothing has been done so far, and through the Speaker, I must inform the people that we must act to ensure that this report too is not simply locked away.
කටයුතු කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක තමයි කතානායකතුමා තුලින් මම මේ අවසරදී ජනතාවට මතක් කරන්න හදන්නේ.
එම කාර්ක සභාවල් වලින් නිර්දේශ වාර්තා ඉදිරිපත්
Although reports are presented by such select committees, no results would be seen if the government does not implement these recommendations. In the new report, they have accused the secretaries of the ministries, and they say that the ministries have become corrupt and are suffering losses due to their faults. The authority which appoints these secretaries should take the responsibility before the secretaries. This is because many political henchmen have been appointed as the secretaries to ministries.
දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවල අමාත්‍යංශවල ලේකම් තනතුරු වලට පත් වෙලා ඉන්න නිසා